Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Y'all hit that like button when y'all come on in. I appreciate it. We'll turn it down. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture to see how those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Listen, we are here and we are back. And I told you celebrity legal news is what we're going to do. But before we do that, let's get some housekeeping rules together. Please hit that like button. If you like what you see, hit that like buttons. If you have not checked out my last video, please go check that out. Tell me what you think. Engage me down in the comments because when you engage me, I engage you. I really appreciate you all coming. All right, today we're going to be talking about Mr. Vin Diesel and what's going on with Mr. Vin Diesel. And why is it going on with Mr. Vin Diesel? But first, if you watched my last video, there was a comment on there when I was talking about the frustrations of the African American populace around this case and what was going on. And there was a comment. So shout out to Only One Winter. And I think she took my whole video and beautifully summed it up in this one beautiful comment. And I want to read this comment before we go in. Hello, Sana. Hello, Terrence. Hello, Keita. Hello, Kimoyo Kid. How y'all doing? So let me read this comment. So shout out to Only One Winter. And this is what she said. She said, great video. Thank you. She said, my frustration is with this whole case. The media's coverage is a huge issue because there are so many people who trust and rely on the media's untrustworthy coverage. And I thought everyone would have known better after the Johnny Depp trial. The media spun their stories about Johnny's case the exact same way, only it didn't hold weight because there were cameras in the courtroom and the public was able to see the contradictory reports for themselves. My frustration is with this predominantly white jury. My frustration is with everyone's obsession with text messages that we could only speculate about. My frustration is with this defense team who put more effort into feeding the media in the press conference than working a proper defense. This was a clear self-defense case. However, that was not what was being used as his defense. My frustration is with the lack of critical thinkers in the general public. My frustration is with those that only feel he's guilty because they were upset he dated a white woman. When that shouldn't matter because the truth is, it's not just a racial bias issue, but a gender bias issue as well. I mean, Johnny Depp is a white man who dated a white woman and the same thing happened. My frustration is that this man has potentially lost his livelihood over lies. And BlackTube is concerned with his Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama comments, which make perfect sense with the context of the conversation, if you ask me. My frustration is that this whole world rallied behind Johnny Depp when they heard AH on audio admitting to hitting Johnny and admitting that he kept fleeing. Yet when we see clear video of JM running from GJ, accompanied with her admitting to hitting him. But the narrative still is he's this big, black, scary male monster. Makes no sense. Where is the same support for JM? I'm frustrated with the believe all women ridiculousness. It should be believe the facts, the evidence, and the truth. All right? Shout out to you, Only One Winter, because I think that's what we all have saw. It was so much stuff swirling around there. And thank you so much for your comment. And it was one of those comments that hit me. I was like, exactly. Exactly. All right. Whew. Anyway, we're going to go on to what we are here for. I'm going to share my screen. Let me get my screen together first. Called myself being proactive in getting my stuff together. I keep telling y'all, I still need the little videographer that was in the trial for him to come with a nice little compilation for me. That's what I need. That's what I need. That's what I need. Because all of this video stuff is something. Let me share my screen. All right, here we go. Let me get over here. So, why are we here today? We are here today because of Vin Diesel. Who is Vin Diesel? You all may know Vin Diesel from Fast and the Furious, Saving Private Ryan, Multifacial. But we also know him as the voice of Groot. And that's why my slightly clickbaitery comment said, are people hitting a lick with Marvel actors these days? What's going on? What's going on? So let's talk about what's going on with Vin Diesel. And we're going to be using the Associated Press. I have been trying to use news outlets that mostly are not based in entertainment. They have an entertainment section, but they're not into the entertainment slant of the media. So I'm using the Associated Press. And let's get into it. It says Vin Diesel accused of sexual battery by former assistant in lawsuit. So what I want to go over today is who's suing him, why he's being sued, and how he is being sued. Remember that. Who's suing him, why he's being sued, and how he's being sued. All right. It says here the Fast and Furious star Vin Diesel has been accused by his former assistant of sexual battery while working for him in 2010. Asta Jonassen filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles on Thursday, alleging that Diesel forced himself on tour in a hotel suite in Atlanta. The suit alleges that she tried to escape from the room after being forced onto Diesel's bed, but the actor moved towards her, groped her breast, and kissed her chest. Diesel's attempted to pull down her underwear, causing her to scream as she ran toward the nearby bathroom. He eventually forced her to touch his bottoms and began to self-soothe himself, the suit says. I've got to get better in using the words now that I have a little bit of responsibility here with the slightly being monetized, y'all. So I have to use my words better. But I don't want to. All right. The lawsuit says Jonassen closed her eyes in fear of angering Diesel any further and wished the assault would end. Jonassen was fired hours later by Diesel's sister, Samantha Vincent. Oh, it's a family affair. Who is also the president of his One Race production. The lawsuit states that Jonassen felt like she was a piece of trash and her self esteem was demolished. It was clear to her that she was being fired because she was no longer useful. Vin Diesel had used her to fulfill his sexual desires, and she had resisted his sexual assault. Jonassen is suing Diesel and his company for creating a hostile work environment, negligent supervision, and wrongful termination, among her other claims. Let me be very clear, Vin Diesel categorically denies this claim in its entirety, his attorney, Brian Friedman, said in a statement reported by the trade outlet Variety. This is the first he's ever heard about this in more than a 13-year-old claim made by a purportedly 9-day employee. There is clear evidence which completely refutes these outlandish allegations. Jonas's attorney, Claire Lisa Cutley, said in a statement that her client's lawsuit seeks to hold Diesel and those allowed and covered up his sexual assault accountable, for their egregious actions. Employers must protect and defend people when they speak about the sexual assault and harassment. We hope Ms. Johansson's courageous decision to come forward helps create lasting change and empowers victims unless they come forward publicly. All right. So that's what the Associated Press has put out. What are y'all thinking so far? What are y'all thinking so far about this particular thing? So after I looked at that, I was like, okay, What's going on 13 years later? Now, again, I don't like for people to mishear me. I am asking the questions that we ask in our head, but we are too afraid to pop out out in the open. Why is she being able to sue him 13 years later? What is going on? Well, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen again. Uh-oh, I've lost it. Let me not share my screen and look it up. Y'all give me a moment. I told y'all I need the young man that worked on the for the prosecution on the what you call it trial to get this information together. All right, I think I found it. So now I'm gonna share my screen again. So what made this come up now? Just like New York, you remember New York had that survivors bill that came up and they had to sue at a certain period of time in the it's sundowned on I think Thanksgiving. Well, California has that same type of bill. It's called AB 2777. And basically what that is that it's supposed to it's a sexual abuse and cover up accountability act. And in this act it gives victims an opportunity to come up and to be able to press charges against their accuser. Now, this bill has some parameters. It has some parameters, and the parameters are outlined here in section C3. It says here in any civil action for recovery of damage suffered as a result of sexual assault, where the assault occurred on or after the 18th birthday, the plaintiff's 18th birthday, that's one parameter. The time for commencement of the action shall be later of the following. It has to be within 10 years from the date of the last act, attempted act, or assault with the intent to commit an act or sexual assault against the plaintiff. Within 3 years from the date the plaintiff discovers or reasonably should have discovered that an injury or illness resulted from the act or attempted act or assault with the intent to commit an act of sexual assault against the plaintiff. And then it goes on to decide what those are. So there are some parameters in there. So she apparently met the parameters. It happened after her 18th birthday, and she filed it before it was 10 years past. And she discovered after 3 years that the assault caused some harm. Now, how do we know that? We go to now, I'm going to share another screen. We go to the lawsuit. We go to the lawsuit. Let's go over here and see what she's talking about. Now, these are her attorneys, and this right here shows that it was filed on 12/21/2023. So we are dealing with a legal document. It was electronically filed in the Superior Court of California. So we will continue to go down. And it says here the Superior Court of State of California for the County of Los Angeles that Asta Janassen, an individual and plaintiff, is suing. These are the people who she's suing: Vin Diesel, uh, formerly known as Mark Sinclair Vistant, because I understand that he changed his name to Vin Diesel. An individual, Samantha Vincent, an individual, One Race Productions, a California corporation, One Race Films, a California corruption, and Doe's, John or Jane Doe's, 1 through 20 exclusive, right? Here's what her complaint is. This is big. Yeah. Discrimination in violation of the Fair Employment Housing Act, hostile work environment in violation of the Fair Employment and Housing Act, retaliation in violation of the Fair Employment and Housing Act, failure to prevent discrimination, harassment, and retaliation in violation of this act, retaliation in violation of the labor codes, retaliation in violation of the labor code, wrongful termination in violation of public policy, sexual battery, negligent supervision and retention, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Just let me ask you all something, just really, really quick, and I'm going to check to see who's here in a minute. As I'm circling, I don't know if I can highlight these. I'm in a Word document. But this section right here, oh, yes, I can. Let's look down in here. Does this remind you of any other suit that we have covered? Doesn't this remind you of the Lizzo suit that we covered probably a couple months back? This whole wording, this information right here, doesn't it remind you of the Lizzo Act? So what is she saying? What is she saying? Now, I have my iPad and I have chopped up everything. I'm just going to be showing you the information and what she's talking about and just highlight it real quick. And she's demanding a jury trial. But basically, she said that, she is a dedicated TV and film professional. She's worked in that film profession over a decade. She was hired by the Fast and Furious Stars company, One Race, and as an assistant, supposedly working directly for Mr. Vin Diesel. She claims that she was hired because she was going to be in production for one of the Fast and Furious movies in that franchise, and that she was going to be working directly with the production. She claims that once that she took an interview and the interview was videoed, and that was because the person who interviewed her said that the president wanted to see the people who they were interviewing. And she was interviewed, and again, she was told that she was going to be working on Fast and Furious. However, when she got there, she realized really quickly that she was going to be Vin Diesel's personal assistant. They had given her jobs and opportunities to be able to do things. She had to plan a party, do all of these little different things. Now, according to her, this incident happened in the state of Georgia in Atlanta. Apparently, they were filming some parts of this movie in Atlanta, Georgia, uh, around 2010, whenever Fast Five. Because do y'all remember when they found out that Letty was alive? Remember she was supposed to have died, and then they found out that she was alive. Whichever that was, that's the last time I watched any of those Fast and Five. But anyway, so but as she got there, she realized that she was really basically working for the One Race production company. She wasn't actually working with the film crew of the Fast and Furious. Now, I have not looked up on IMDb to see if One Race Productions, One Race Films was one of the producers, productions, or any kind of things associated with the Fast and Furious franchise. I hadn't looked that up. But anyway, she said that when she got there, she found out that her job was basically being a personal assistant, and she was going to be organizing parties, and she was going to be organizing parties for the people who were the cast of that show and other Hollywood stars and things of that nature. She said that Mr. Diesel had a mantra. If it's not on camera, it didn't happen. And anything that happened on camera, he always wanted to make sure that somebody else was on camera with him, like his assistant or uh one of the people that were always somebody. So if anybody questioned anything that he did, it was because they were on camera. All right. She says that one night she was dutifully working her duties, including shooting no photos were taking of him. uh he had personal security and all these different things. She said that they went to the Empire Suite of the luxury hotel. They said the name of the hotel, and I'll get to it whenever I get to it. But she says that they were in this suite, and he was entertaining some of the hostesses from, uh, I guess, a walkthrough that he did at a club somewhere. And he was entertaining the hostesses and stuff like that. And that he left the room with another hostess and went back to the back. She says all of those hostesses and everybody left. As they left, she says that he groped her, he grabbed her, he kissed her. She said she struggled to be free of his grasp. She was repeatedly saying no. She said that he was physically larger than her and much stronger and abused his position of authority as her employer and was able to easily overpower her. She says that he ignored her clear statements of non-consent to his SA, and he escalated his assault. He groped her body, he dropped to his knees, he pushed her dress up, he groped her legs and attempted to pull down her underwear. She was terrified for her personal safety. She ran to protection of the nearby bathroom. He followed her, he pinned her up against the wall, he grabbed her. Apparently, he masturbated on her. She forced him to touch him, and then he withdrew. She also mentions that he said something about here. Here it is. No one can say shit about Asta as he left the bedroom. She also mentioned in another part of this lawsuit that he had also kind of grabbed her and pulled her to the bed and all of these little different things. So now I will tell you from where she talks about within this story, she had been employed for a week ish, not even a few days, but maybe like a week. After all of this happened, the day came around. She said that she was then. She also talks about another incident. I think prior to this one, where she was in the room and Mr. Diesel went somewhat with some other woman in the back, and that the supervisor that she had asked her to come down to his room for something. She goes down to the room. He immediately takes off his clothes and gets in the bed and pats on the bed and tells her to come. So she runs out. So within all of this stuff happens to her within a week. After that, she makes a statement to other people or something like that. And she said that she was fired by Vin Diesel's sister thereafter and told that we were going to pay you for your 2 weeks, but your services are no longer needed. And she felt like she was being fired because she did not acquiesce to the sexual advances of Vin Diesel. So that is basically the lawsuit in a nutshell. Now, it does go through the different parties because apparently, when I read this, particularly when she was talking about the parties, it seems like this was an environment of people being able to do that, particularly when she talked about the supervisor. So this was an environment in which this type of stuff was fostered. So that is the lawsuit in the nutshell. In a nutshell, in the nutshell. What am I talking about? So I wanted to get to what do y'all think? You know what? I have not talked to y'all. Let me see. Hello there. Hey, hey. It's turning into a hurricane lawsuits. I know. Everybody hitting the lick with Lot Marvel, aren't they? And like I said, I know that he works on Marvel with the being the voice of Groot, but he's still considered to be a Marvel actor. So are people hitting licks with them? I don't know. Hey there, Kita. Hello there. Everyone trying to cash in. And as I showed you all before, they have mechanisms to do that. uh they have mechanism to do that. California and New York have put on their books a mechanism for them to be able to do that for their pain and their suffering. Hello, Danny. Hello, hello. Do y'all go check out Danny's video? Y'all go check out her page, go check out her video, because we have been making sure that she gets out here and she does her thing. Y'all go check her out. Also go subscribe to her page. If you subscribe to mine, please go subscribe to her page. The Kamoyo Kid. Hey, hey. Major Needs Depp's team on that appeal. Possibly. Uh, Possibly. I don't know. His lawsuit was in Virginia. So I'm unsure whether or not that they practice in the state of New York or not. I think that who is that? I think on Dr. Hines' show, there was a young lady on there. He probably needs to get with her to find some good appellate court attorneys because she had some very um, interesting uh, criticisms in regards to Priya Chaudhry and how she handled that case. And if you followed me at the top of the hour, you know I read Only One Winter's frustrations about here. That kind of was similar to that. Was there anything done 13 years ago? Anything filed back then? So what my understanding is, she did a civil rights uh complaint against him, and that was in the, because you remember if you saw what I said earlier, it had to have happened after her 18th or on her 18th birthday. She couldn't file the lawsuit unless it was 10 years past, and that she had to have realized that something was amiss, that she had been emotionally damaged, physically damaged, or any of those things within 3 years of the actual incident. So apparently she had filed uh, an EEOC or a civil rights complaint in the state of California in regards to that. And then from that civil rights complaint, they gave her the go ahead that she could go ahead and file a lawsuit. And I think she was able to file back then, but I don't know if she did or not. But like I said, AB 2777 gave her the opportunity to do it now. Wow. Hey, Danny. Yeah. So this is basically what it is. And so there are a lot of Doe defendants. Let me see. What page am I on? Page 4. There are a lot of Doe defendants right here. There's about 40, and a lot of these defendants are people who apparently worked with Vin Diesel at the time. You remember that she talked about the supervisor that she had issues with. But apparently there are a lot of Doe defendants in here that they were talking about. And once she figures out who they were and what their names are, I guess she's going to mention them more clearly in the lawsuit. What are y'all thinking so far? And these crimes are supposedly happened uh the California Fair Employment and Housing Act clearly states a lot of different things that employers can do or not do, and they felt like all of this was unconscionable under that act. So let's see. She claims that this event that happened where he did this was on September 3rd, 2010. So she's still within the in the parameters of it. Let's see. So she has 10 causes of action, and I'm just going to briefly go over them. Let me stop sharing my screen. I'm going to briefly go over them, and after I go over them, that's just going to be, again, my overview of this Vin Diesel case. If it goes to fruition, because, I was all pumped and ready for this Cassie case, and it was grand opening, grand closing. But these are her causes of action, and I'm just going to read them. Discrimination on the base of sex and gender, hostile work environment, harassment on the basis of sex and gender, retaliation for engaging in protected activity, failure to prevent discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. Her fifth cause of action is retaliation in violation of the labor codes. Her sixth cause of action is violations of the labor code. And again, most of this is in California. The seventh cause of action is wrongful termination in violation of public policy. Her eighth cause of action is sexual battery. Her ninth cause of action is negligent supervision and retention. So she's saying, remember, she had that act with that supervisor, and that, this supervisor, quote unquote, wasn't trained properly to know that that was bad, because he's seen his immediate supervisor, aka Vin Diesel, doing this. And the 10th cause of action is Intentional infliction of emotional distress. So these are the cause of actions that she has against him, that she's wanting a judge to compensate her, uh, monetarily compensate her. What do you all think about this? What do you all think? Do you think this is something that we should be reviewing, or just keep it very just giving you the ins and out of what's going on with this case? I saw on Dr. Nicholson. I guess he would have a doctorate. Anyway, attorney Mark Nicholson. I saw on his page where he was asking his populace what you wanted to cover. So I will do that as well. Is there a particular case that you would like for me to cover? Now I am going to be covering that ASAP Rocky case. I will be covering that case. I know that when it comes to court in January, which is a few days from now, actually. I think he is it January 4th or January 8th? I will be following that. And I'm going to be following this one as well. I don't know if it's going to be a grand opening, grand closing. Because again, when once these cases come up, the floodgates open up. So I don't know if anything else is coming against this thing. If it does, I definitely, definitely will cover it for you. Again, what do you all think about these, like in New York and here in California, these laws that allow for victims who have been harmed uh, outside of the statutes of limitation? What do you all think about these types of law? Do you think that they're effective? Do you think that they're not effective? Um, I think they were good intentioned. I California's between California's and New York. I think California took some thought in it instead of us trying to try something that happened 65 years ago when probably half the people are gone, or it's now between he says she says. I think the keeping it in a certain level of parameters let me know that they were giving thought to it. They wanted to make sure that people could be able to, I guess, get some recompense in regards to the actions that had happened to them. But I do see that they did keep it in a way that there were certain parameters that people had to fulfill, and so the floodgates wouldn't open up with a whole lot of folk. But it's still interesting. It's still interesting. It sounds like she may or may not have a case. Again, I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not going to claim to be there. I'm not going to claim to know nor understand her pain. I'm not going to do that. If the law allows for you to do something, the law allows for you to do something. Uh, and if she has the ability to do it, I guess she's gone ahead and she's done it. But let me see what you all are thinking about this. Follow it and see what else comes out. Yeah, I think something else is going. I think there's going to be some more sugar that falls from the tree, so to speak. There's going to be other things that are going to come. There are going to be other things that are going to come out, particularly if other people uh, had the same or similar experience. Soon as company made it. Yes, I am so glad you said that, Kamoyo Kid. Y'all, there is I was watching a YouTube page. I cannot tell you which one, because I think during the Jonathan Majors trial, I think I watched so many people in their their, their take on what was going on. But during that time, right before there was a lady that was on a channel, and she was an attorney, and she was talking about why she believed that suing his companies led to, because there's some type of insurance or some type of I'm saying insurance, but I know she called it something different. But there's some type of insurance that these companies get, and that if their CEO is embroiled in a lot of different things, or high executives are embroiled in a lot of different things, that in order for this company to keep this insurance, 9 times out of 10 they have to get rid of their CEO. And that's probably why uh he stepped down from Revolt, and he stepped down from a lot of different things. So she was able to get that money because of this policy, and they had to, they paid out this policy and she was able to get this money. So you are exactly right. Suing the companies because the companies don't want to lose. I want to say she said it was some kind of license. When I go back through I was trying to go through my history to find it, but like I said, I watch so much stuff that I can't uh, pinpoint where it's at right now. But you are exactly right. There is some type of clause, some type of insurance, some type of license, some type of something that companies get, and that this violated or was going to cause for them not to be able to have this license, or was going to cause for them not to be able to have this insurance. Whatever that lawsuit was going on, it was going to cause a whole lot more problems. So you're exactly right. They are suing the companies may get you a quicker settlement, particularly larger companies. And like I said, Bad Boy was a subsidiary company under somebody else. I'm saying Interscope or Sony or one of those Arista or something like that. And those are huge conglomerates, and they don't want to be caught up in no mess like that. They aren't effective. Really big fish still dodge accountability. That's true. That's true. And that also depends on the people that are surrounding them. It depends on all the stuff and the stakes that are happening that are surrounding them. Just like this Epstein case that they're getting ready to release all of the names of the people who were associated with this case. I mean, it's so bad that you have the government of Israel asking the government not to release these names. So who's on this list? And why do you think Epstein was able to continue what he was doing for as long as he was doing? Who was on this list? I guess they thought that when he passed on, that list was going to just die down. But again, that Freedom of Information Act, people want to know what's going on in their government, and they want to see the information. I'm waiting for that list as well. I want to see who is on that list, where they're on their list, and how they're on their list. Now, I'm told in regards to our African American artists, we do know that Chris Tucker was on that list. We even saw him in a video on the plane going to the island. I don't know who else. That's the one that I saw with my own eyes, smiling and laughing and whatnot. Who else is on this list? We know the big name players and things like that. They were associated with Epstein and quickly distanced themselves. Trump, Clinton, the guy that's over Microsoft. What's his name? The little mousy little guy. Him. There were a whole bunch of other people. The person that ran was it Victoria's Secret? He was connected with them, with Epstein. So there's a lot of different things from what I understand with that coming out, which is going to be something to see. And I'm going to follow it. I my curiosity is getting the better to me. And also, I'm always interested in connections. You remember, I'm dating myself in my age. But you remember on one time online there used to be a game called 6 Degrees from Kevin Bacon, and how everybody in the entertainment business was 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon. You remember that? There used to be this online game that used to play like that. I'm always curious who's 6 degrees from Epstein. Is his name Mark Epstein? Who's 6 degrees from Mark Epstein? That's going to be interesting. All right, people, that's all I got. We are going to be following uh we're going to be following this Vin Diesel trial. Again, we're going to be following the Lizzo trial. When I'm going to be following the ASA, the ASAP Rocky trial. I'm also ooh, wait a minute. I saw it. I saw it. You know it is. You know it is. I mean, they've been sitting on this list. I don't remember how long Epstein has passed away from here, but they've been sitting on this list for at least 3 to 4, 5 years. There's a lot of folks. Right now there's a lot of people uh trying to get their affairs in order because they don't know how this stuff is going to pan out. Uh uh King Charles's brother is caught up in this mess. King Charles's brother was caught up in it. Did you see that documentary? I think it was on Netflix A lot of these people, he absolutely did. He absolutely did. He absolutely did. Absolutely. Can you imagine the government officials? Can you imagine Bill Gates? Thank you. Thank you. Can you imagine the government officials? Can you imagine the people in industry? Can you imagine the entertainers? Can you imagine the football, basketball, baseball players, heads of state, right? Businesses. I just told you just a few minutes ago that the government of Israel is trying to get that list from being put out there. Why is that? Religious folk. This is interesting. Quite interesting. And like I said, when they release whatever list they have or the information, when I find it, I'm gonna share it, y'all. When I find it, I'm gonna share it. But tell me what y'all are thinking about this Vin Diesel lawsuit. Tell me what you think about California Bill AB 2777. Do you think it's helpful? Do you think it's hurtful? A bill that allows for people within a certain parameters to sue in civil court for their pains and suffering and things like that. Y'all let me know. What do you think about this Epstein case? What do you think about if you hadn't seen it, there is a documentary and I believe it is on Netflix. There is a documentary about it and it is one of the saddest things that you've ever it's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. If you are very sensitive about SA and trafficking and all those different things, it gives you a glimpse of what it is. Uh and it's not as it's insidious. It's completely and utterly insidious. It's a mess. It's a mess. And if you wanted to understand the ins and outs of trafficking and how people can get are into this and go watch it. What's her name? That Maxwell lady? Prime example. And here's the thing that I would love to say, and I'm gonna end it in this in regards to the Epstein talk about. There is a special kind of place because I don't have a heaven and I don't have a hell. I don't have no deeds to them place to put people in. But I will say this, there's a special kind of place when you have people who pull people into that. And that's what she did. She was like a handler or whatever. There's a special kind of place. There's special kind of place for the Epsteins of a world. There's a special kind of place for the Maxwells, just Ghislaine Maxwell. There's a special kind of place for these type of people that do these things, and I don't want it to hit them in death. I want them to hit it while they're still living. There's a special kind of place. And if you all do not think or have this understanding that women can do these types of things to other women, y'all are crazy. There's a lot of y'all running around here, young men that have seen or have gone through SA by adult women, and you all keep talking about it like it's a rite of passage when it is not. It is the same thing that's happening to you that happens to young girls. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. It is not a rite of passage. It is abuse. Point blank, period. Don't let anybody tell you any different. All right. Didn't want to leave on such a somber note. Woo! Boy, you better see how many people got flights to Brazil because apparently in Brazil, I mean, you could have committed mass murder wherever it is you come from. But if you go down to Brazil and you get a Brazilian woman pregnant and she has a baby, they not letting you leave because you got to take care of that child. Now, after that child is an adult, I don't know, but Brazil is not letting you leave. Is there any other places that will not allow extradite? What are y'all saying? Ghislaine, that's her name. She she was the head one in charge, honey. She was the one who was bringing the girls in, going to raves and parties and stuff like that, and bringing the girls in. Bali. He's Russell Simmons is in Bali. That's where he's at. He's in Bali. So yeah, they are definitely figuring out how to get to these places and do what they need to do. But yeah, we gonna see. Atlanta Airport is gonna blow up. JFK is about to blow up. I don't know what LAX is about to be blown up. I don't know. Is there any other international airports? Miami, they're about to be blown up, child. All these folks, them airports about to be full after right after Christmas. They're gonna enjoy their Christmas holidays, but right after that, it's about to be full, full. All right, people. Oh, well, be part of the replay gang. You can go back and replay it. And you can sit here and then you can enjoy it on your time, leisurely. Take me all in. But thank you so much for making it here. We do appreciate it. And I do appreciate every last one of you all that are rocking with me. Also, there's 16 of you in here. I should see 16 lights at the end of this stream. I should see 16 lights at the end of the stream. All right, people. We do this every week. All right. With the ending of the Jonathan Majors trial, I'm going to get back to my regularly scheduled 2 to 3 videos a week. So we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of this Vin Diesel lawsuit. Tell me what you think of California's AB 2777. Do you think that that's a good law? How is it comparable in New York's law, where they allowed for assault victims to sue their accusers? Tell me what you think about that. All right. Please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell your coworker, tell that heifer you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, thank you so much for rocking and joining with me. But for right now, bye bye.